And welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez. I'm live on the GSMC Sports Network, streaming on YouTube and Twitch every Monday night, 8 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you guys check those out, and make sure you guys Superman punch that like and subscribe button. All right, we talk about all the action inside and outside the ring on this podcast. We talk about all the wrestlers, inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings, releases. We talk about promotions from AEW to New Japan Professional Wrestling to, with the WWE now with, AAA. We talk sometimes CMLL. We talk, a little bit in the past ECW, WCW. So, this full wrestling podcast, definitely, something that you guys should definitely consider, signing up, subscribe. Why not? Talk about wrestling with your favorite wrestling fan, and it's always good. It's all gravy, baby. All right, so without further ado, we have NXT stars to be called up to Smackdown or Raw heading into the draft, obviously right around the corner. When I say right around the corner, I think it's going to start like next week. Last year, it started around this exact time. I think it was like actually the 24th, which is, kind of crazy. I feel like it will be referenced on SmackDown. You'll get that, you'll get that after somebody cuts a badass promo on SmackDown, then you'll get the draft is coming. All your favorite superstars don't know where they're going. Some NXT call-ups. Like, you're going to get something. You probably get something like that. But, I love the draft. The draft is always one of my favorite times of the season. Obviously, NFL draft taking place last night. Still no home for Shedeur Sanders. Got to be honest, sidebar, I was happy that the Giants didn't sign him. He seems like a public relations disaster. Seems like nepotism at its best. He didn't participate in the combine, which, and people don't. I get it. Cam Ward didn't, but I feel like Cam Ward kind of had the skills to kind of be like, why should I do this? But Shedeur, he was, I feel like he didn't have the room to kind of just be like, oh no, I don't get to, I'm not, you guys don't deserve me to, combine, to compete at the combine or whatever, so. And I was happy that no team drafted him. It was kind of cool. He was backstage with his dad. Both of them kind of looking pissed off because that any NFL organization or team that drafts Shedeur Sanders, you're gonna have Deion Sanders on your ass. You're gonna have him barking and chirping in the coach's ears, in management and the ownership, and it's just going to be like when you have that kid on a high school baseball team and his dad is nothing but like trouble, and he'd be like, oh, if we don't have that kid on the team, what are you going to do with the dad, but nothing against Shedeur. I definitely hope that he finds a team, but I don't know, I feel like maybe a little bit of nepotism there, maybe a little bit. But, let's talk about wrestling. Back to professional wrestling. We have the WWE Draft right around the corner, and we have people to be drafted. Definitely 1,010%. I got Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez has been on SmackDown. She's been competing against, the likes of Bayley, answering challenges, on Raw. She attacked, Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer. So I definitely think that we're going to see the prodigy on WWE Raw. I see her on, but then again, seeing her against Tiffany Stratton would be pretty badass. But I feel like right now the women's division on SmackDown is just about to heat up. Naomi, she needs a storyline. Jade needs a storyline. You have Charlotte Flair, who I don't think will walk away from Tiffany Stratton ever since losing at WrestleMania so kindly. We have Alexa Bliss still in the likes. We have Nia Jax still waiting for a storyline. The thing that makes the most sense, and I know that Becky just came back to Raw, and all that jazz, but I feel like she's gonna be the face of the Women's Intercontinental Championship picture. But with Roxanne Perez, I feel like would be an amazing fight against her and Io Sky. And, I feel like she's going to be the next one to be called up. Someone that I did want to get called up, I wanted Tony DAngelo to be called up with the family. Maybe he does, and then maybe we have Luca and Ariana Rizzo, join their new, not like a heel, like underboss, like Stacks. But I don't know, but then again with family, kind of the realism of professional sports hitting, real life is the fact that families, they do fight and they do say stuff to each other. They, sometimes physical altercations, which is definitely, not cool. But, at the end, you kind of look at each other, you hug it out, and then at the end of the day, we're still family. So maybe perhaps we kind of get that little bit, that storyline, and then we will see the family drafted together. But I wanted to see these guys come together. I did. I want to see them come to SmackDown. The Bloodline storyline is basically dead. Without Roman Reigns, The Rock, the WWE Championship, and now Paul Heyman's out of the picture. So it'd be kind of cool to have just a different flavor, having the family, Tony D'Angelo going after the United States Championship. Obviously, the belt is on Jacob, so it'd be kind of a little bit setting him up to failure right off the bat would be kind of bad. But it seems like he's going to stay on NXT. I don't think he's going to come up to WWE Raw or SmackDown, which kind of sucks. But, he is great in NXT, so really no complaints. Trick Williams, this guy needs a new direction in his career. It makes absolute sense for him to go to SmackDown or Raw, preferably Raw. Because if he goes to SmackDown, then he runs back, maybe a feud with Carmelo Hayes, or maybe he looks Carmelo Hayes straight in the face and be like, hey, man, you told me about all the politics and doing whatever it takes to keep your championship. Guess what? You were right. And Carmelo Hayes did do that with the NXT North American Championship. He, he to protect his legacy, he turned on his friend Trick and took him out. And, and right now Trick Williams is kind of showing Carmelo Hayes vibes. He lost that NXT World Championship ever since then. Went nuts. And maybe he didn't do what it takes to keep that title. Maybe he should have, to still be the champion, cut a little bit of corners here and there, stretch the rules a little bit. So if Trick Williams is coming to SmackDown, would love to see him and Carmelo get back together. That would be so sick. Make the tag team division that much better. He comes to Raw. Mid-card title holder, maybe. But the Intercontinental Championship recently crowned by Dominic Mysterio. Then there's Finn Balor, AJ Styles, maybe Karrion Kross, Braun Breaker still. It's a doozy. Obviously, I feel like they are setting up Seth Rollins taking on Jey Uso at SummerSlam. But I don't know. It's still up in the air. Trick Williams will definitely be called up, though. Julia, we saw Julia on Monday Night Raw attack Stephanie Vaquer. Io Sky as well, Japanese wrestling, sensation. I can't wait. I would love to see her and Io go at it, definitely. But if she comes to the main roster, with Roxanne gone, I feel like it's about time. But Julia recently came to WWE NXT. Her Stephanie Vaquer, Jordan Grace, I feel like will kind of be the backbone a little bit, And Zarya right now, she's in the tag team bout with Soruka, but I feel like she will jump into the title picture as well eventually. So Julia leaving NXT to go to Raw, it'd be cool, it'd be great, but at the same time, maybe it'll cripple NXT a little bit. But you do have Evolve, so maybe she does come. So a lot of stars. Ethan Paige has been rumored to be drafted for a long time. I think even last year. Really? No, I don't think he was here yet last year. I could be wrong. No, not yet. But he could definitely 1,010% be just an asset anywhere he goes. SmackDown, Raw, if he stays on NXT. But his time in NXT has already seemed like it's, he's kind of been there, done that. He's ready for something different. Plus, maybe he joins The Rock. Him and The Rock talk backstage. The Rock, gave him a handshake, gave him some love, being like, hey, I'll see you, one of these days on probably the main, on the main shows and stuff like that. So, maybe that could be a little bit of foreshadowing of what to expect from all ego Ethan Paige. Or maybe The Rock decides to, go all in with Ethan, turn on John Cena. Then John Cena gets his, retribution story where, which I feel like he will. I feel like John Cena will retire in front of the fans as a babyface now more than ever. Doubt he'll stay a heel. Right now, a little misunderstanding, a little hurt. He's going to have his redemption story. He's a Hollywood actor. He could keep the fans lingering on every moment, everything he says, every emotion shown during his promos. So, if anybody could literally, tomorrow, turn the fans from hating him to loving him, it's got to be John Cena. 1,010%. Fraxium. I thought during the Superstar Shakeup we were going to see Fraxium, but we didn't. And it bummed me out because I was like, dude, this Raw division is hurting. This WWE World Tag Team Championship picture sucks eggs, man. It's awful. It really is awful. Earlier I was like, why did, the New Day, they turn heel like it's cool and all. But I was like, if they stayed babyface, and they would have stayed like marketable for WWE, I feel like they should have won the tag team championships a long time ago. You know what I mean? If you were gonna put the titles on the War Raiders anyways, it'd be like, okay, so what was literally the point of the New Day turning heel? Like Karrion Kross said in his promo, you know, they had that viral moment where they kicked out Big E and said, you were out with a broken neck, but so what? This and that and the other, and then maybe another viral moment, going bad. You go all in for the for the clickbait, for to be broadcasted all over Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever you use, and now the storyline doesn't make sense. They're tag team champions, but are they really? Were they really that great in that match? Are they really more profitable for WWE as the heels that they basically can't get a word out? They're pissed off. They're pissed off teenagers running all over the back and be like, why do people hate us? What, it's just like, oh my god, it's just funny. Nathan Frazier and Axiom would definitely help the Raw tag team division, without a doubt, 1,010%. But they would need the titles on them, which I feel like they can have that. Maybe they win on SummerSlam. Maybe they do. But these guys would be amazing on the main roster. Oba Femine, he kills it on NXT, obviously, 1,010%. And if he made his way to Raw or SmackDown, it'd be big. I maybe not SmackDown because the draft is happening and superstars are going to be shooken up. But as of right now, SmackDown, they have Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six, big dudes. They have Braun Strowman, a big dude. They have the United States champion Jacob Fatu, big dude. So, Oba, most likely, Raw, Bronson Reed, that's probably the only big other threat there. But, the newly crowned Intercontinental Champion Dominic Mysterio would be in heavy trouble. I don't know how long he's going to hold the title. I doubt for that long, being honest. And then the world title picture, Jey Uso. And then you have Gunther as well, probably wanting a rematch. So, I feel like a lot of the pay-per-view card or the PLE card WrestleMania Backlash is kind of already filled. We might get a bunch of matches like rehashed, which is okay, which is cool. But I don't know. Should be interesting to find out if Oba gets drafted. Stephanie Vaquer, I like the fact that she showed up on Monday Night Raw to, look Io Sky in the face and, international wrestling sensations going at it. Amazing, gifted, talented women who deserves all the attention in wrestling right now. That women's division in NXT is a bombshell, is an absolute juggernaut. So I really don't see Vicare leaving that situation. I would feel like, she is the face of NXT right now. When you think of Stephanie Vaquer, much like when you think of NXT, you kind of think of one or, one and the other, vice versa. But, wherever Stephanie Vaquer obviously winds up, she's going to be amazing. Nothing really to kind of stop from talking about that there. But, those are a couple of NXT superstars that might find their way up to the main roster heading into the WWE Draft. All right, our fifth and final segment. We talked about it. We got what's next for Trick Williams. Is the Whoop That Trick era done in WWE? So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage. Join me here in about 25 seconds. So, hey, do not go anywhere.